Hey everyone, this is Danny from Danny Ferrier Coaching, and welcome back to another episode of Inspired Leaders. Today I'm going to be talking about the main traits and characteristics that a leader needs to have in order to inspire their team, invoke certainty within their team, and also bring them along on the journey. I'm absolutely thrilled that you're here, because if you are here, that means that you're willing to learn, and wanting to grow yourself as a leader is one of the characteristics. Valuing growth and having a growth mindset is a very, very important trait of a leader. One of the other traits that I've identified that is key in leadership is challenging the process. Having that thinking that asks, what else could there be? Knowing that the process is just one way and that there are multiple other ways, and creating space for yourself to step back from the process and ask yourself, how could we do it another way? Challenging the process is such an important trait. Then, of course, there's certainty. Leaders need certainty because nobody's going to follow somebody that doesn't invoke that within them. If you are certain as a leader and you have that clarity of where you are going, you are able to articulate it and help your team buy into the vision and the mission of what you are trying to achieve. And then you will have followers who are helping you to achieve that vision and mission. But nothing happens until you, as the leader, have that clarity of thought. One of the other really important skills to build is that compassion and that openness with your team. You imagine that as a leader, you're constantly learning how to develop other people into your position. And that requires a lot of learning. Nobody, and I mean nobody, can do the job like you can. And you're already 10 steps ahead of that person. And as a leader, having that compassion for someone's growth is essential for them to feel like you believe in them enough to give them the space to be able to grow into that position. Another one that I really love is having that ability to give feedback, because feedback is the lifeblood of any mission, any organization. It comes back to the growth. We're not going to be talking about feedback so much in this, but I talk about feedback so often because it's one of the main things that I talk about with my leaders, is the ability to give feedback and say what needs to be said. And that's another trait, is the ability to value leadership, to know that maybe it hurts in the moment, to know that it's not the easy path, but the trait that you have is leaning into the uncertainty and being okay with the ambiguity, not having to have all the answers, and still being certain of yourself, still being able to say, regardless, we will create a plan and we will make this work. And that level of certainty, that enthusiasm that you have that you will achieve the mission, that's what inspires your team. So I'm absolutely thrilled to be here today to talk to you about how you can build these characteristics within you, and also what are some of the major benefits of having these characters and some examples of them working. One of the benefits of knowing what these characteristics are is that you've got a really clear roadmap of maybe what you need to build within yourself. The other one is, when you know what are the good characteristics of a leader, you can start developing and noticing them in others. You can also recognize which characteristics you already have and then maximizing those strengths and helping your team to see that you are building your characteristics, your traits consciously because they know that you are consistently working on them. There's a beautiful quote that reads, "You are either green and growing or ripe and rotting." And everything in nature grows or it dies. And as a leader, knowing what traits we are developing in ourselves helps us to have a constant and never-ending conscious decisions to make throughout our day. Every conversation that we're having, every interaction that we are having should be through the filter of what am I working on improving? For example, for me, I know that I need to give people more space to have more compassion for people in conversations so that they can do the learning themselves. And so I know that I'm consciously working on giving people more space, not rushing in to say the answers. That is one of the conscious decisions I made within my leadership growth plan that is helping me to build that muscle. And I've noticed it more and more now that I'm working as a leader and leading the people in my community, how much more effective I am because I'm consciously working on this skill. Another amazing benefit of knowing what traits you are working on is that people feel it. They understand that nobody's perfect. They understand that as a leader, you're not going to have it all together. But when you share with your team that it's something that you're working on, and you share with them that you know that it's something that you're not quite there yet, there's a lot more compassion for it. They start to recognize when you're doing it and give you the feedback when you're doing it. You're able to bring them in on your mission of being a great leader, because self-awareness is so key. And when you know what you are currently developing in yourself and you know what your strengths are, then you can move forward with certainty, because you don't have to have it all together. Nobody has it all together. And when you're a leader and you've got that constant growth in mind, you are inspiring that growth mentality within your team. I love that when you are being a leader and you are coaching and helping mentor people into a role, that they're going to make 1,000 mistakes. And it's just the way that it is. People have to make mistakes to learn. And I remember hearing a story recently about an investor in the US, and he made a really critical decision about an investment portfolio and ended up losing, I think it was a couple of $1 million. And he thought that his boss was going to fire him. It was such a huge mistake. And he went into the office of his boss with his head down and he said, "Yeah, I know you're going to have to fire me." And the boss said, "Why would I fire you? I just spent $2 million educating you." And that's the attitude, that mistakes are going to happen. There's going to be a huge cost to the company. And your ability to see the development process in others is what makes you a phenomenal leader. Because I know myself how many mistakes I made to be able to get to where I am today. And that's okay. And that's what's made me stronger. And that's what's given me the clarity and the confidence to be where I am today. So, how are you going to create these traits within yourself? Well, first of all, you need to know what are your strengths and what are your stretches. So what I did when I first started coaching was I did a 360-degree feedback from my friends and my colleagues. I asked them questions like, what are 5 words that you would use to describe me? And another one was, what is something that I could improve on that you've noticed about me? Or, when I speak to you, what is the feeling that you get inside you? This is going to help you to build your awareness And it also helps those people to monitor your progress to help you on your journey. So 360-degree feedback is key for a leader to know exactly where their strengths and stretches are. Now, if you would like to do a profiling tool, I also have a beautiful leadership profiling tool on my website, and that gives you a huge insight into what you can be working on as a leader. Otherwise, using a text message or Facebook message to your friends and colleagues and getting some real honest opinions about how they perceive you is really, really important. And I'll share with you why. Because as humans, we see life through a lens. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. We've been creating our experience through these filters our entire lives. And we can tend to have what I call cognitive dissonance, which is the brain's way of not picking up on all the information available to us because we are seeing it through our belief systems. Now, I know that's getting a little bit nerdy, but when you understand how the mind works, you understand that we can't possibly see ourselves accurately, because even a mirror is us seeing through a lens the reflection of who we think we are. Does that make sense? So 360-degree feedback is helping us to get an accurate lens, and then being really open to that feedback that your friends send you, and knowing that it's not a criticism. It's not something that they feel you must change, but it's something that they've noticed about you that you can start to take conscious actions, conscious steps towards changing. And the next one is to write a growth plan. You know where you want to be in 5 years' time. You know what kind of company you want to build. And that's really important to build the being, who you are as a leader, to be able to support that vision. There's a beautiful model that I use in coaching called the be, do, have model. Who do you need to be in order to have the success? So we all know how to do the things, but do you know how to develop the character that you need to be in order to sustain that level of success, that level of business success? And as a result of that, you can have all the things that you want to have. And these soft skills, these skills that you are learning, building your character, they take a lifetime to master. And that's why it's imperative for you to create a growth plan for yourself, conscious actions moving you slowly towards your destination, so that every single time you're in a conversation, you can start to notice who you are being, and that consciousness, that awareness of how you are sounding, the tone you are using, whether you are having an open approach, whether you are validating the person you are with and being compassionate, whether you are asking more questions than giving answers. That curiosity that you have within yourself, could that be more? That is really going to help you. And the next point is to create or find models. As humans, we think that our experience and the way that we are is the way that we are. You've heard a lot of people say, that's just who I am. And in coaching, we don't believe that. I've seen people transform in front of my eyes within a 6-month period. Somebody who, she couldn't even stand up and introduce herself in front of a group of people, and now is killing it at networking meetings because she decided to commit to herself. She decided to step into the leader that she always was. And now, as a result of that, her business is thriving because she consciously chose to develop herself. And she had a fantastic model. And that model was me. And I asked her, who do you know who is able to win a room over? She said, it's you. I said, okay, well, but next time you go into a networking meeting, think Danny thoughts, be me. And then you will be able to access those traits, those qualities as a leader in that room. So who's your model, I wonder? Who is already getting the results that you crave, that level of business success? And what is it about them that you love? And what traits do they have that you can slowly start to build in yourself? Because you see, 75% of our change is all self-awareness. All we need to know is what we want, and the rest is easy. And there might be challenges around how to get there, and you might be asking yourself a lot of questions. Well, I'm not that confident, or I don't know how to ask great questions and be curious. Relax. You'll get there. It's fine. But first comes the decision to commit to being the leader that you are always meant to be. I trust that this was a really valuable episode, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. Bye for now.